Hi everyone, it's the English Simmer here, and we as Simmers all have our issues with The Sims 4, but today we're going to be talking about mine because this is my channel and these are the things that aggravate me most. I want to talk about 10 quality of life features that I think they could bring to the game that would not only help me personally, but I feel would help an awful lot of you guys. Starting off with a very topical one, actually, very topical, very mindful. Now, I usually play The Sims 4 on my desktop. I am PC Master Race main. However, I needed to do some work and I didn't want to do it on my PC. So I was like, right, let me just load up Sims on my laptop and then I can do a couple of things over there. Funnily enough, they gave me a cheeky little questionnaire. They were like, oop, this person doesn't play on this platform very often. Let's give her this little question to answer and see how she feels. This just appeared on my home screen. However, it is a quality of life update I have seen many a simmer talk about for the last few years. And also something that I made a video on a couple of months ago, maybe. There was talks of potentially updating the Manage Worlds system. And this little question seems to be going along with that. I did find it very interesting. It asks, when playing The Sims 4, how happy are you with the current new game flow? When you click new game, not resume, not load into another save file that you already have, brand new, fresh save. You go into create a sim, you have to create a family or just create a random sim. Usually that consists of using the pre-made that just is there by default, randomizing their traits, choosing the first aspiration that you can see, and then also randomizing the name just so you can bypass create a sim to either build or check out items that you want to check out or check out the townies. Then it goes to pick a plot / build and then live mode. Obviously, if you have seasons in there, you also have to choose what season you want to live in. You also have to choose what world you want to live in, but that is the premise of it. So it gave me 3 options: satisfied, neutral, or dissatisfied. I actually put dissatisfied, and then I think they could change that up because in the past Sims games, it used to be when you started a new save, it would just automatically take you into Manage Worlds. Given you could only live in one world in the past games, it wasn't like The Sims 4 where you had free movement between all of the worlds, which I much prefer in The Sims 4. I like not being limited to just one world, especially considering how small the worlds are. I said would prefer if the game started in Manage Worlds or even just like the world choice menu so that you could like hop in to any world as soon as you load up. So you could choose to build / play as townies / create a family / whatever you want to do. The only people that benefit right now are the people who like create a sim, which I am one of them. I take my time in create a sim. You also can't save in create a sim, which is really annoying. You can add a sim to your library and then you can close the game and then you can just like load back into a new game and then download them off your library and continue where you picked off. But you can save from Manage Worlds. So already that's like, okay, I have this base save that I can just save from in that. And then you can choose to play the game in whatever way you see fit. And I think for the majority of players, that honestly is the best game flow. But I would like to hear your thoughts on that one. But number 2, this is again encouraged by a recent update. So we did actually get the option with the base game update before Love Struck to actually have our Sims refer to each other as boyfriend and girlfriend or partner within our games, which I know people would still like the choice of boyfriend, girlfriend, or partner, which I think is completely valid like feedback on that front. However, I would still love to see more options within Create a Sim. Like I would like them to add those gender neutral terms to brother, sister, and siblings so that you have the option of all of those. I would also really love it if you could add grandparents and tag them in Create a Sim. Also, maybe even choosing like cousins, auntie and uncles. I know it can get a little bit probably confusing for the game at that point. However, you can already do this. It just takes a lot of effort from the player. You have to have the family that you kind of want everyone to be related to. Keep in mind, you can't go above 8 Sims. And then you can like add a parent and then you can add their parent and then the game will automatically refer to them as like their grandparent, which is nice, but you should just be able to choose that. You shouldn't have to actually go through the rigmarole of making all of those Sims and making all of the labels work. I would just prefer prefer it if you could choose it in the drop down menu. Sticking with Create a Sim for number 3, more columns. Hello, it's one of the most popular mods that we have for The Sims 4. If you have never played with it, the more columns mod by Weirbezu allows you to choose how many columns you would like to show for all the assets within Create a Sim. Very, very helpful to people who pretty much have like all the packs, because that's an awful lot of content, or who also have a lot of custom content, because it actually allows you to spread it out over 3, 4, or 5 columns. I think recently it got a 6-column update. I don't even think that my screen ratio size would be able to fit 6 columns. It's already a little bit dodgy when it comes to like horses and cats and dogs on 5 columns. However, I just think it makes the game easier to see. We did get like the UI scale. We definitely have like ratios in our game where I feel like they could make this work now if they implemented it officially, and it can also be opt-in. I think it should be a setting that you can choose how many columns you want to show within Create a Sim. Number 4 was actually brought up by one of my mods over on Twitch, so Cooper, thank you so much for this one. And that is to easily edit career outfits. Now, this is something I never do because I will hold my hands up, I never ever remember the cheat. I need to add it to my stream deck so that I know I just have it there. But I always forget that you can actually edit your career outfits. So that's the outfit that your sim automatically gets changed into before they head off to their workday. Sometimes these are a hot mess. Sometimes it will just choose like completely random assets and you're just like, what is that? What is happening? Sometimes they'll also like change halfway through their level of the career, and they'll just wear like a different outfit every day, and it doesn't really make sense. Right now you can actually open up your cheat panel, you can put in testing cheats on, and then you can type in sims.modify_career_outfit_in_cas, and that will actually load up Create a Sim as you hit enter, and that's actually your career outfit. It just is for that one level of the career you're in. So probably not really worth it the first few stages of a career where it is quite easy to get those promotions because they're in like that level for what, 3 days? I personally just think that there should be an option in Create a Sim once your sim gets a job. I think it should add another category onto your Create a Sim to be like, hey, this is what your sim is going to be wearing for work. And then you can just change it to whatever you want. I think a lot of players probably don't even know that that cheat exists, and it is possible to change someone's career outfit. So I honestly just think it would open up the game and creativity and storytelling just that little bit more. Number 5 is for build and buy mode, which is something, if you know me, I don't really talk about too much on this channel. However, I do think this is super important to the build process, and I know that it infuriates me, and I only like really building interiors. So I can't even imagine how it affects people like working on the outside of houses, and that is the fact that you should very much be able to, in build and buy mode, to turn lights on and off, and also to change the color of them. I hate, and this has been happening a lot recently in the more recent packs, they've given us a lot of like LED strips, they've given us a lot of neons where you can actually, in live mode, click on those lights and you can change the color of them, and then that obviously very much visually affects the room that they are in. However, in build mode, they are just set default to white. So it doesn't really show how they integrate, especially if there's already pre-built lots that already have these like neon lights that are specific colors. It just looks really mismatched. Really annoying on like community lots as well, because you physically as a player have to travel there to then change the lights, and it's just like, this is ridiculous. That should be very much an option just in build and buy mode, which I just would like to point out. I know there are a lot of mods that fix these, and I never usually say like, oh, I want this officially in the game to make it feel like the team are stealing from modders. That's never my intention. It's just that modders are smart, they're players, and they realize that issues that we run into as players so frequently, which is why there are a lot of mods to fix these. Also, keep in mind, not everyone can play with mods. Now for number 6, I actually thought this would be something that would come in the base game update when we actually got the calendar introduced to base game. That used to only be part of seasons. However, they updated it so everyone could have the calendar, but not everyone has holidays. You still need seasons to have holidays. However, I very much think that the calendar in general needs an overhaul. It needs many a quality of life update. The biggest one I really see Simmers talking about is the fact that you should be able to save your customized holidays or just a calendar in general, because so many people spend so much time actually going through that calendar, making very intricate holidays, and it doesn't save from save to save. Now you can make like a base save, maybe that's got your townie makeovers in it, it's got all your different houses, and it's also got the custom calendar that you have put your time and effort into, and then you can load into that save as new or revert the save and have it as like a default, so every time you start a new game you're just starting in that specific save. That's personally what I do because of my townie makeovers now, but again, that's such a rigmarole for players. Also, I think it just needs generally an overhaul to mass delete things that you don't want. So if you don't want to get notifications, if you don't want to see whenever there's a festival happening in City Living or the feckin' annoying football matches and cheerleader meets that you get in high school years, you should just be able to opt out of that because it affects you no matter what. They are the bane of my life. Hearing that music is so scary. It takes me back to the traumatic experience of having a burglar or the Grim Reaper visit in The Sims 1 and 2, but it's actually just because I never ever go to them. I think those events are bad and I don't want to be notified about them. Number 7, obviously we got pronouns recently when it comes to the English language within The Sims 4. However, I right now don't think pronouns are as accessible as they should be. It's all well and good having pronouns and also incredible like representation when it comes to actually pre-made townies using neo-pronouns or being non-binary or trans. However, you can't really see those pronouns unless there is a interaction such as a San Sequoia secret where a sim is referring to another sim and is using their pronouns, or you check out their family bio. Sometimes their pronouns aren't even in the family bio and you actually physically have to hop in to create a sim to see what their pronouns are. I don't know why this didn't come with the pronoun update, but I think a great quality of life feature that could be updated is, you know, the little tooltip, which is the information that pops up when you hover over a sim. Did not know that that was called a tooltip until very, very recently, where it lists a sim's name and also their age. I also think it should have their pronouns listed in there. I selfishly, as a person who records my game, would then know how to refer to sims because their pronouns, like I said, aren't always clear. I also wish there was a couple of interactions to do with pronouns. I wish you could introduce yourself with pronouns and then you get like a little notification up in the corner of a sim introducing themselves back and their pronouns listed in that, or maybe asking a sim for their pronouns so that you as a player know how to refer to them. It should also be listed in the relationship panel. You know how you'll have like open profile? It should be listed in there too. Number 8 is something that annoys me all of the time, and it's why is the fact that leftovers from the fridge isn't easier. I hate having to wait for all my interactions to load up on a fridge. I don't know what's gone on with fridges in like the past 2 years. Feel like it could have been introduced around the time of Home Chef Hustle, but when you click on a fridge, my game lags like no other. It takes like a good 5 to 10 seconds for the options to actually load up, but then even more annoyingly, to get leftovers, you have to cycle through all of those to find open, then it opens the inventory, so you have to move your mouse to then click on the inventory and the food that you want to get and then select get leftovers. Why does it take so many movements and so many clicks? You should just be able to hit the fridge, choose get leftovers, and then it comes up on a little wheel of like what you actually have, or a little pop-up with a list of foods that you currently have in your fridge. That should absolutely be a thing. Getting leftovers should not be this difficult 10 years into the game. My Sims can't even eat easily. Who am I kidding? My Sims eat every day. Coming in at number 9 is something that I will never ever stop yelling about in my videos. You lot are probably sick of hearing me talk about this, but I am a person who hoards things in video games. I like my Sims pockets to be chunky. I want my Sim to be weighed down by their life experiences, okay? And that means whatever I collect, whatever I have, whatever I get from my Sims inventory, I keep. I am a sentimental simmer at my core. I hate deleting things unless I'm like really pressed for money. They stay in the inventory. The inventory stays shut in my Sims 4 game. So why is it so hard to find things in the inventory system? Surely inventory means organization. Sims 4 inventory is one of the least organized, most difficult things to navigate in my life. I just want to be able to make my own folders. I just want to be able to put like collections together. I just want to be able to put different things in different folders, like household items. And I know I probably hear so many of you screaming down in the comments, Molly, there's like a tag system. You can use the tags, which yes, I have got a little bit more used to using tags recently, but we all know that the tagging system in The Sims 4 isn't the greatest thing. You should be able to search inventory. Again, I know there's a mod for that, but not everyone can play with mods. But this doesn't just go for the inventory. This honestly goes for like build and buy mode and also create a sim. I think Simmers would love the game so much more if we could just create our own folders. This was a thing, I think it was in The Sims 2. I don't know if Sims 3 had it. Maybe it was called like collections in The Sims 3, but I know Sims 2 definitely had it, where you could basically create your own little categories in build mode, and then you could go into your collections and you could just choose that folder, and then it was like favoriting items, like items that you used a lot in build and buy mode. You could compile them all in a little set. I used to do it for like teenagers' bedrooms. I had a lot of surfer bedrooms in The Sims 2, okay? I went through a surfer girl phase where all I would talk about was surfer boys and how I wanted a boyfriend with floppy hair. Looking back on it, I think it was just the heteronormativity kicking in. That was the only boy that I could find attractive at that point in my life, because I am in fact a lesbian. But oh my word, I just think this should exist. I think we should be able to either favorite assets, or I think folders are just a better idea. Let us make our own little collections. And finally, at number 10, this is actually one that I saw like in my comment section, and I've seen people talk about over on Reddit. This is something that I personally never really thought about all that deeply, but then when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, why is this not a thing in the game? And you know when you get a cheeky little phone call, usually from Eliza Pancakes, being like, hey bestie, wanna hang out? Like, wanna come to the nightclub with us? Wanna come to this party? Yada yada yada. There's a couple of invitations that you can get to social events. The options right now is like, go there right now this instant just by yourself, or choose others to go with you, like travel as a group. Or you can just like cancel out of it and say like, no thanks, and miss the opportunity. How good would it be if you could be like, please just give me a couple of hours, or I'll meet you there in a few. And then it would be like maybe 2 hours within the game. You could get another call to be like, hey, do you want to like come again? And it would like kickstart the event. Or I guess you could just choose to go when you had like wrapped up something and maybe that event was still going on. Again, I don't really know how that would work with programming, if that is in fact possible. But I do think it would be really, really helpful for Simmers, because sometimes you're just in the middle of something, like you're hitting a story point or you're doing something specific and you're like, oh, I wish I could just put that off for like a few hours and then I would be able to go and I'd have a great time, but I just can't do it right now. So you just have to cancel out of it. I feel the more you say no to those things, the less you are actually invited to those things. It's like the further you get into a save file, The Sims is like, oh, we have so much other stuff like going on, let's just not invite these Sims. Which, by the way, apparently there was like a fix or an update for your Sims to actually get like invited out to like birthday parties more and stuff of that nature. Let me know, since the release of Love Struck and like the base game update, have you been invited by like Sims to like parties or holidays by any chance? Because I used to love when that happened and it hasn't happened in a really long time. So I just want to know if people are experiencing that in a positive way. And then also maybe even adding the option of sending a Sim alone. You know how high school years introduced a little notification of like join your Sim in high school or send them alone, and if you send them alone they just go off lot into a rabbit hole. They can just do all the things that they have been used to doing. You should also be able to do that with social things. So you don't actually have to go and like play as a Sim in that nightclub. You can just be like, yeah, I want you to go. I want you to hang out with those people, but I'm going to send you alone. And then there's a couple of options on the little like away plumb bob of like make friends, meet new people, I don't know, take care of needs, like work on a couple of skills perhaps that relate to the location, like maybe dancing skill, DJ skill, mixology. And finally, I wanted to include this one as a bonus because I go on about it all the time, so I didn't want to spend too much on it. But when you are hosting social events, you should just be able to invite your whole family inventory, like all of the people you know in every single relationship, rather than just the Sims that your host Sim knows. With the newer events, you can actually invite over way more people than you have ever been able to. It kind of feels more like a community event. Really annoying for like kids' birthday parties and things of that nature because kids can't host their own social events. So then you have to have the parents actually know all the friends of that kid. And I just think it should go off who everyone knows so that you can throw birthday parties of your dreams. So there we have it. Those are my 10 quality of life features that honestly would really help me in my Sims 4 game. Again, I don't say any of this to avoid them like fixing bugs. Obviously, I would like bugs, glitches, game breaking issues to be focused upon first. These are just little updates that I personally would appreciate. I feel like whenever I make videos like this, I get the comment of like, I would just prefer the game to be fixed. Me too. Can I me too that on Answers HQ? Because same. But I would love to know what you lot think about all the ones that I've mentioned, what your feedback is. There anything that you want to add on to those specific ones, and also just all of your quality of life features. I absolutely love seeing how people play the game and what like infuriates them about like the little intricacies or just things that they think would be so much easier if they maybe just like developed it this way instead of going that way. I just think it's really, really cool to learn about people's play styles. I appreciate all the discussion that goes on in the comments of these types of videos. It's why I absolutely love making them. It's why I always sound so upbeat. Take care of yourselves and I will speak to you all in my next one. Bye now.